Welcome back to Wine Talk Wednesday. We are here again in the Joel Palmer House wine cellar, where we have over 700 different selections of Oregon Pinot Noir. One of my personal favorites in our cellar is, in my opinion, one of the purest and most authentic representations of Oregon Pinot Noir, Quarter Mile Lane. And we are so honored and so happy to have you here this evening. David, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again as well.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Well, David, we have, I believe, probably the largest collection of Quarter Mile from any other restaurant worldwide. We have a huge vertical, 2010 through 2021. What can our guests expect from a bottle of Quarter Mile?
There's definitely a wild red cherry quality to it, not like cherry cough drops, but more like semi-fresh fruit, but not the normal sweet red fruit or black fruit or even white fruit. And it's not only that cherry piece, but then there's an overlay of white spice, baking spice. And we've never really figured out, we'd like it to be mace or something, but we really don't know.
Open for interpretation.
Well, the reality is, it is.
Well, I think it's an iconic wine for the Valley. I mean, we see thousands of guests here throughout the year, and a lot of them don't really know Pinot Noir.
Yep.
Sometimes they haven't even had an Oregon Pinot. So when we get guests in, they say, you know what, Levi, we're going to leave this in your hands. We want you to find us a quintessential Oregon Pinot Noir that represents and stands for everything that Oregon has as a region. One of my go-to wines is always Quarter Mile. I feel like it has a really, really high typicity for our region.
And is it often rejected?
Almost never. Between the 2010 and the 2021 that we have in the cellar, do you have a favorite vintage that you
keep wanting me to commit to this, don't you?
Maybe.
I don't.
Not necessarily a favorite wine, but a favorite vintage that you've either worked on or tasted.
Not a wine, but a vintage. Now even bigger.
Vintage of Quarter Mile.
If I were drinking Quarter Mile as often as you may,
I drink it a lot.
Yeah. I'm particularly fond of the 10. Dave Page, who was the winemaker at that point, did a great job of figuring out when to pick it and then managing the fermentation so that in spite of it being the coolest vintage we've ever had, he managed to get the grapes ripe enough, but not too ripe or too wildly out of balance. And so it, in a sense, he had great material to work with that he didn't screw up. I mean, you never know when you pick grapes if that was the right day to do it.
Sure.
Until a year or two later. I mean, you can give it your best shot and you can do all the numbers you can get, but ultimately you can't taste the flavors. I mean, you're looking at something with 22 or 23% sugar, and you're trying to taste these extremely subtle flavors, many of which actually don't develop until after fermentation. So I think it's the trickiest part of winemaking is to be able to get that step done on the right day of the year.
Absolutely. So you planted Quarter Mile in the early 70s, correct?
74 for Quarter Mile 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't an AVA though.
There was no AVAs until 30 years later.
And you were part of the team that helped sort of Chehalem AVA, correct?
40 years, no, 30. Yeah. Yeah, no, I wrote the Chehalem Mountains thing. I wrote the Willamette Valley, the 83 or 82. But the 82 expedition was not about place in any specific sense. It was just, I mean, in reality, we already were able to use the term Willamette Valley on the label because we'd written that into the Oregon label rules in '77. But the TTD required if you were going to use a vintage.
No.
Yes. If you were going to use a state bottle on the wine label, the wine had to come from an AVA. So we quickly in 1982 realized we've got to get AVAs approved or people won't be able to use a state bottle of their wines and they're going to be pissed.
And Adelsheim was the first established Halem AVA winery, correct?
We were the first winery that existed in what is now the AVA.
Got it.
Yeah. The AVA didn't exist that bad.
All right, David. A lot of people in this industry consider you to be a huge inspiration into not only the Oregon wine, but the Oregon wine movement. Why Oregon?
Why Oregon? Obviously, we didn't go looking to do grapes when we started looking for lands. And Oregon only because other people were doing it, and it seemed like it would be fun to join this band of people that were trying to prove that the Willamette Valley could grow grapes. When Eugenia and I were at Sancerre in May, we wandered into a place that sold a lot of wine books. And we were just kind of browsing through, and there were several books on wines of the world, in French, of course. And I looked at one and said, okay, I wonder what they say about Oregon. So toward the back of the book, there was Oregon, and it said, Oregon is considered the Burgundy of America.
Oh.
We would never say that. That's so presumptuous and so out of what we would want to be known as or known for. But there it was. Flat out, just that. And then went on to talking about Drouhin, all the things that supported that contention. But I probably should have bought the book because nobody believes that would be in a French wine book, but there was.
Well, David, it's been a pleasure having you tonight.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Of course, this is really fun. Can't wait to come back and have a real meal and try something other than Quarter Mile 11.
Anytime. You're welcome anytime.